So we're going to talk about making this book a book including our prints. And we're going to take it another step, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to keep it kind of a surprise because I'd asked you to bring a poem. So we're going to talk about that in a little while. But let's first start with how you might want to attach your prints to the book. So here we have a book that we made. It's this accordion book. And I'm just going to grab some of the prints that I made for this class early on. And I'm using the prints as the content for the book. And so as you can see, this book really has a lot of possibilities. It's just a blank book with a front and a back. So you could actually make a reversible book where you have a whole series of prints/paintings on one side and a whole series of prints/paintings on the other side. And as you notice with the book, so one thing you can do with a book is to turn the pages. You know, it's a sequence, right? So it's a sequential kind of a viewing experience where you see one after the other, and it could add up to a whole experience of something with a beginning, middle, and end. Or it could simply be just a book that has, that contains attractive imagery, you know, or interesting imagery, and each page is its own experience. I want to show you now books that I made a while ago, quite a while ago, that incorporates printmaking techniques. So I titled it Scarab. And as you can see, these striations here are prints, and this is a stencil. So even the front piece of it, this is still an accordion book. This is an accordion book taken to the next step where I actually added a heavy cardboard cover to it. And you can do that too. 1993, a long time ago. So these are all monoprints. These were monoprints made on the press, but nonetheless, they are monoprints. And I really had such fun making this. This is, you know, you can incorporate pop-up features to your book. This was a book that didn't really have a story. This was really a book just variations on a theme of Beatles. And I just, you know, enjoyed playing with this. As you can see, I've got little instructions: turn page, lift this part to see a little surprise beetle, turn the page. This is another just a variation on the theme of just playfulness using the imagery of a beetle. So I've even got a little place where you can lift up and take a peek. And variations on a theme. This part was kind of fun. I added a little pop-up element. So little moving beetle. I don't like insects much. I mean, I love them from an aesthetic perspective, but I don't like bugs per se. I don't like to have them on me. So it's kind of interesting that I chose a bug image as something that I wanted to play with here. So, and then that's the end of it. So back to the book we might be doing now, which is, you know, may start you on a larger book project. I'm going to take my scissors here, and I'm just going to start by maybe cutting some pieces up and starting with that. And, you know, sometimes you may find that the smaller pieces of your prints are actually more successful than the whole thing. And it's a great way to sort of feature that in this book. So I might just start with that image, and maybe begin on page 1 with this little guy here. And what I would do now is just take some of my matte gel medium, or you could use Elmer's glue or Yes glue, or you know, whatever adhesive you like to use. No need to necessarily go out and buy a whole new kind of adhesive. You can just use what you've got at hand. I wouldn't recommend taping, because taping won't last very long. You know, it'll start to pull away. So I'm just going to start by adhering my little print onto the first page. And what you can do is put a piece of freezer wrap in between each of your pages while the book is drying. And that's a great way too to keep the pages from sticking together in between and while you're working. So let me just center that a little bit more here. And you want to make sure that the corners are well adhered as well. I'm just going to cut a piece of put a piece of freezer wrap in between while I'm working on the next page. So I'm not going to take this very far, but you'll get the general idea. So on this next one, I could put 2 images side by side. It might be interesting to kind of see what they do side by side too, right? And of course, you could take any of your prints. You know, you might want to really spend some time thinking about how this book is going to go. Or maybe you really have a strong idea about what you want to put in there. But I'm going to just take this next one and glue this one down here. And I'm going to take another, maybe the bottom part because it's so different. Cut that piece up and glue this. Well, this is what I'm talking about here. I can see that I get away from my my camera. Sorry about that. Glue that one right here. Actually, this is probably a better view for everybody. If I just shift everything up to this table. There we go. And again, glue on the back. You might want to do the gluing on a piece of freezer wrap so that you don't end up getting glue all over your table. That would be a smart thing to do. But and of course, you can apply your glue with a sharp, with a little piece of cardboard, nice heavy piece of cardboard cut into a little piece. You can do that, or you can just use your fingers or a brush. So I am actually feeling kind of not taking a whole lot of risks in the way that I'm gluing this on, because you could, of course, decide to cut your prints up a little bit more and have some more playful fun with them. Maybe you want to put, you know, a couple of different elements on here. Maybe you want to paint the pages first before you start to glue on. You know, really, all bets are off, and it can be anything you want it to be. So let me finish putting this last one on the page here, and then we'll see what else we can do as we move forward. Just gonna glue this one, making sure that you get right to the edges, because the edges, the corners tend to peel up first. It's really annoying. And we'll just put this down. And already we have some interesting juxtapositions, don't we? We have these 2 pages, they're related, but they're different. You know, this one has the copper on it. It's coming from the same print. They have, you know, an affinity for each other. And that's kind of interesting to start with. So I'm going to actually just do this for this moment, just to fold over my freezer wrap and just do that. When you're done with your gluing, what I would suggest is that you take a heavy bunch of books and of course put a piece of freezer wrap down first so that you're protecting your books, or you can something like, you know, your clear plastic, whatever, but put something heavy on the book, really heavy on the book, on your book, dictionary, or just something you have around that could weigh this down, and let it sit overnight, making sure, of course, that you have pieces of the freezer wrap in between each page so that you're not going to end up with a bunch of stuff that's all glued together by mistake, right? So now comes the really fun part, which is I printed out a poem by my friend Jessie Brown, and it's a poem that I really like. And what you can do is use this poem in your book. So you might want to take a look at your poem first and decide that you wanted to really use your prints and kind of illustrate the poem. Or you can do what I'm doing, which is, just kind of now, after I've already decided my pages, I'm going to add lines of the book, of the poem rather, to the book, to the pages. So I am the chestnut. So what happens when you add a line of poetry or prose to the imagery? It changes it, because suddenly you're making relationships here between the words and the image. Like, that just happens. You can't help but do that. That's just kind of how our brains work. So you may find some really unexpected and wonderful juxtapositions that you would not have expected if you'd really tried hard. So I'm just going to take this line of poetry here and glue it on, because I just want to show you what that might look like. You could even, you don't have to even type it out at all. You could just write it. Maybe you just want to write it right onto your image. Often that is even better, because it will integrate a little bit more. But this is I kind of like this. It's an interesting way to do it. So, I am the chestnut. What is that? Do you see, suddenly I see the word chestnut and I think of something round. And of course, I relate to the round shapes that are already on here. And it doesn't really look like a chestnut, but maybe, in my mind's eye, I'm turning these shapes into chestnuts. So that's the other piece to do, is once to either work in conjunction with the poem that you've chosen and work, each page, having a different relationship, or working after the fact like I've just done, which is once I've chosen all my images and I put them down, then taking this poem and kind of arbitrarily going along the lines here and cutting out each line and adhering each line to my image, to my book as I move forward with the book. So many different ways to approach this, but it really is a fun way to start to be able to make some meaning happen with your prints, to start to begin to give them some resonance and start to see them, as metaphors for other things. And that's the metaphorical aspect of art making, is what I think is one of the most powerful things about it.